Hi, I really want to talk about this, so I'm going to talk about it. I don't know if you guys saw this brand new show on HBO called The Rehearsal. It's by Nathan Fielder. I don't know if he's a comedian anymore or if he's a crazy scientist that just discovered that he's a crazy scientist. So there's this brand new show on HBO called The Rehearsal. It's by Nathan Fielder. If you're a fan of him, then you probably are a fan of him because of his previous show that used to be on Comedy Central called Nathan For You, where he would be a marketing genius and he would go to struggling businesses and come up with a crazy marketing idea in order to boost sales. But he gets a little bit too creative and has a little bit too much fun with it because sometimes he just experiments in the show and some of his ideas go to the extreme. For those of you that don't know, he did this one project at a coffee shop where he tried to get sales at a coffee shop to go up. He couldn't do so because there was a Starbucks right down the street. So that was their competitor. So he devised this genius plan of copying exactly what Starbucks is doing. But get this, instead of having all the same names for their coffee in their store, they're just gonna put the word dumb in front of the word Starbucks. So he literally took everything from Starbucks and just put the word dumb in front of it. And the only reason he was allowed to get away with doing so without getting sued by Starbucks themselves is because he labeled it as a parody, and parodies are protected by the law. Okay, this was a show that then broke the fourth wall and went to real life because as they were filming the show, they realized that they were getting so much business at this coffee shop that they went ahead and opened like a bunch of them. And in the episode where they go about opening all of them, they only do so because they stumbled upon it by surprise. They didn't think it was going to do this well. So these shows are not even that well written down. These shows are just ideas, and then he just goes with the flow. And he outdid himself in his brand new show on HBO called The Rehearsal. Now, the whole point of The Rehearsal is not the same. He doesn't go to struggling businesses and try to get them to get more business. What he does is he rehearses people to confront, I guess, awkward situations. Like, let's say, for example, you want to divorce your husband. That's not easy. Well, no problem. Nathan will rehearse you on how to do so. He's going to replicate an entire replica of your house or where your husband works, or maybe a coffee shop that you and your husband go to all the time, so that you can sit down your husband, who's going to be played by an actor, and rehearse all the possible scenarios of how your husband might take the divorce. There's a positive response. There's a negative response. There's a shit breaks the fan response. Pretty much, you're going to be ready no matter what the world throws at you because anxiety, right? The world is unpredictable and it's scary. So they lure you into this show by making the first episode pretty innocent. It's about a dude that lied about his college degree to one of his friends that's now sending him job applications that would require him to have a college degree to apply for, and he feels super awkward that he cannot apply to these jobs because he lied about his college degree to begin with. But he really likes this friend, and this friend really likes him. Like, they really connect. They both cherish the friendship so much. He cherishes so much that he cannot sleep at night for this little white lie. I mean, it's innocent enough on its surface. I've lied about worse stuff. I'm sure you've lied about worse stuff, but this dude in the show is literally going through it. He's experiencing real human emotions of a person that is going through it. Nathan recreates a bar to the T where they play trivia night, and then Nathan just rehearses everything that might go wrong or might go right. And then it's an epic climax when the person is ready to reveal it to the actual real person. And the real person didn't even care. They were like, oh, well, you know, if it's eating you up inside, I still like you as a person. So I guess you get to learn that our anxieties are self-made and we should just tackle on life regardless, and we should always be saying the truth because it's easier to just not lie to people. If you tell people the constant truth all the time, then why would you have any anxiety? You're living in your true light. You have nothing to hide. It's so much easier to not lie. That's what I learned approaching my 30s. It's easier to live life if you don't lie. But of course, Nathan couldn't end the show like that. He went further. He found this Christian woman, or this born-again Christian woman, that is super picky about her choice in men. She's approaching her 40s, and she can't seem to date anybody, but she also wants to raise a baby. But her expectations are just out of this world. He has to be the perfect man with the perfect six-pack, with the perfect religious ideology that specifically matches her to the T, and he must be okay with raising a baby. And I'm sure there's a bunch of things that I haven't included for this lady until she meets the perfect Prince Charming, but you get the point. I think the comedy behind that whole scenario was that this lady is super picky. Let's see, even if we provide everything for her, even if we are financially compensating her, even if we give her a house, will she still be able to find a man? I think that was the comedy. But they packaged it as, hey lady, We believe that the reason why you can't find a man is because you're just not ready for that scenario. So until you get in that scenario, why don't you rehearse in this house that we rented for you for months and months and months, and then after that, we'll even give you this baby to raise in that house, and this baby's gonna keep aging every couple hours so that we can speed up the process and you can see what it really feels like to have a baby and to raise it from 0 to 18. This is insane. But they did it. And in order to do so, they even arranged a bunch of dates for this lady to go on to see, maybe it's really not the men. Maybe it's her. Maybe she just rejects every man that ever approaches her. But at the end, she meets this one guy. And this one guy is as crazy as she is for even accepting to go on the show. So as the show progresses, this lady eventually wakes up and leaves the show. And then Nathan is stuck with a TV budget, a contract that he has to fulfill, and he doesn't know what to do. So he steps in no shoes. And I'm assuming the only reason he continued doing the show is because of the immense stress that he was putting himself on. And he was not thinking straight. That I 100% believe, okay? Because as the show kept going, this lady left, and now he was the one that was stuck raising a baby. But the whole point of him doing so is because he is not rehearsing for the day that he's going to be a father, and he wants to see if he wants to be a father to even begin with. Maybe a person leaving you mid-raising the baby is a scenario that might happen to you in real life. So to him, it's like, I might as well keep going and to see if I am able to raise a baby on my own, even though I might have a woman that might leave me. So all the same rules still applied. The baby would age every couple hours. So he required different actors to play the baby or the kid that's growing up. And around the age of 3 or 4, he had one of these acting babies or one of these acting boys that was his child, technically, for the rehearsal, for him rehearsing this scenario that might potentially happen to him in the future. Who knows? But don't worry, in case it does, he's going to be prepared. Okay, one of these 3-4-year-old kids can't seem to comprehend the concept of acting. And he thought that Nathan was his actual father, or he's going to be replacing his actual dad. I don't really know what happened to the actual dad of this kid. All I know is that I was going through an intense emotional reaction because I'm a human being. And mid watching the show, I had to stop myself and go, yo, I thought this was a comedy show. What I'm seeing is people going through torture. This is torture disguised as a TV show. This is the equivalent of the Coliseum. Like, people would gather up in groups and see people fight for their life as if that's not psychotic. So I felt like a sociopath watching this show at this point because I started laughing in the beginning and now I'm about to start crying. And there's not even 10 episodes in this season, which, thank God. I'm assuming the producers must have really felt bad at this point. But there's no way this kid is walking out of this situation unscathed. He's going to have to see a therapist for the rest of his life. And in the last episode, Nathan even drops a bomb and takes all the guilt off of himself by rehearsing as the mother of this child to see all the possible scenarios of how this child's going to react to what he did wrong to him. And every time it always deflected back on the mom because the mom allowed the child to be in the acting experience to even begin with. People make mistakes in life, but this is a big one. And we as a society, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable with this. They renewed it for season 2. I love Nathan, but I think this just went too far. I think in 10 years from now, they're going to talk about this and be like, what the fuck? How could humanity do this? I mean, no, he's not the worst person in the world, but at the end, it wasn't comedy. It was a science experiment. I hope they study this. I hope they find good things out of this. But I didn't feel right. Just putting that out there. It wasn't funny at the end. It started innocent and then it just wasn't funny. And I feel like in order for comedy to be comedy, the intent has to be funny. That's my opinion on it. If you enjoyed this opinion of the rehearsal, this was my review of it too. Watch it if you want. I'm not saying don't. I'm not going to stop you from watching it. I'm not going to think any less of you if you watch it or you don't. By all means, it's your choice. But is a season 2 necessary? I don't know. I don't know.
How come every time I walk inside a Dunkin' it's a human? And could you explain to me why their coffee tastes like burnt wood?